to episode 2 of the Ash Christine Designs podcast. My name is Ash and I will be your host. If you're coming back here from episode 1, thank you so much for checking out the podcast again. And if this is your first podcast, hello and welcome. As I said, my name is Ash. I am the designer behind the one-woman show I call Ash Christine Designs. I mainly design knitwear patterns, which you can find on Etsy and Ravelry. Both will be linked in the description box below. You can find me on Instagram as Ash Christine Designs and on Ravelry as Ash Christine. Links to everywhere that you can find me will be found in the description box right below this video. Alright, let's dive right in, shall we? And first up is shop news. I want to talk about the latest released pattern, which I showed off on last week's episode, but it was not a released pattern yet, it was just a finished object then. But it is the Hello Gorgeous pattern, which is these, or it's a pattern to knit either size of these. The small and the large both come in the pattern. The small has a slightly different cable than the large. Don't know how well it picks up on camera. Last week I thought it's not going to show up on camera, but the camera actually picked it up pretty decently, so hopefully you can see it. But yeah, there's a small and a large. They both have instructions for how many repeats to knit the cable portion for, but if you're ever, making one of these and you decide you want a taller pumpkin, you can go right ahead and knit more rows for the cable repeat than what I recommend in the pattern. It's just what I preferred to do for the size of pumpkins I was going for. But yeah, so this pattern is out now on both Ravelry and Etsy. I will have links to where you can find the pattern on Ravelry and Etsy in the description box below this video. You can get this pattern, the Hello Gorgeous pattern, 20% off until sometime next week. I believe I set the coupon code to expire for Thursday, but I'm not sure. If I'm incorrect, I will have it referenced down below. By the coupon code, I'll have it say valid until it starts Friday, October 9th, and then I think it runs till the following Thursday. But again, I don't remember. But the coupon code is pumpkin, so if you use that, you can get 20% off until the end date. Also, I knit a small version in white. Well, it's a tweed, but still, it's an off-white. I like the way it looks in a white. I'm somebody that's like pumpkins or orange, so to design this pattern I had to step outside of my color preference, and as you can see, that I went for orange for the small one, but for the large one I was like, I want to do orange again, and I was like, no, let's do a red, even though you don't generally see red pumpkins, not at least as far as where I'm from, I don't see red pumpkins, but I was like, yeah, let's go with a deep red for this second pumpkin, and I'm really glad that I did that for the large, because it was seeing it in a different color, I was like, you know what, I want to see the small in a different color, which is why I went for this tweedy off-white, which I love so much. This one's sitting on my desk, and it will be there until the, Halloween season is over. I'm just like, yes, you can sit beside me and just be a little desk ornament. Okay, and that's it for shop news for this week. So we're going to move right on into finished objects, of which I only have one. I wanted to finish a couple of things this week, but nothing was really in a place where it was close enough to being finished that I was like, okay, well. So I need another pumpkin, because what else would I do with my time? I'm not sure if this was even cast on last week, or if I cast it on after I recorded last week, but either way, it's a brand new pumpkin, and it is a jack-o'-lantern. Look at it. Oh my god, it looks so good on camera. I thought maybe it was gonna look a little like you wouldn't be able to see the face that well. But yeah, he's got a cute little style, little jack-o'-lantern face. It's precious. My only regret with this is that I didn't include a nose. Sorry, I just realized there were some fuzzies on the front of it, so that's what he looks like defuzzed. I love it so much. Can you tell I'm just a tiny bit obsessed with pumpkins this year? I don't know what happened. I've never been a huge pumpkin person. I've never even really been a huge autumn person. I've always been get to autumn to get to the Christmas season, because I'm somebody, I love the holiday season. It's just everything about it, from the music and wrapping gifts and eggnog and decorating. Christmas is my jam. Okay. So I've never really been that big into autumn, but this year it's every time I turn around I'm like, I want to make this for autumn. No, this is autumn. No, let's make this for autumn. And it's like, who are you? What happened to you? But yeah, this pumpkin. My only regret is that I didn't give him a nose, and I wish that I had spaced the eyes up a little bit and then popped a nose in there. So I may make this again and include a nose. I kind of just did this as like a little thing for me. I didn't really plan it for anything. So if you're interested in this and you want me to write up a pattern, let me know. It's just a stockinette pumpkin with the same top instructions to draw it down that I have in my Hello Gorgeous pattern. So they both do that exact same draw-in thing, so it gives it that pumpkin shape. I know a lot of people have their pumpkins and they'll put yarn on the outside and draw it through the top, and then, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but you take yarn from the bottom and you pull it up and go down into the center, and then when you cinch it, it creates this line across the side. For me, I've never been able to do that to where it looks neat. So I decided to design one, the Hello Gorgeous, I decided to design it without that in mind. So I was like, how am I going to do this without, you know, taking that and doing the cinching on the sides where it draws it in. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about, but yeah. So I decided to design that because I don't really, it's not that I dislike the way those pumpkins look, it's just something I've never been able to achieve in a way that looks good. Okay, and that is enough blathering on about pumpkins. I'm sure that all of you are like, woman, stop with the pumpkins, nobody cares. That's okay, that's okay. I know I care about pumpkins. That's okay. It's good enough for me. But anyways, let's move on into works in progress, which I have quite a few to show you today. Originally I was, I'm sorry, not originally. Last week I only showed 2 because it was episode 1 and I was like, let's only do a couple and then, you know, we can bring more in next week. But this week I do have a couple. One I cast on after last week, and then the other one was cast on, but it was in a, it was only a few rows, so it really wasn't worth showing off last week. It still only is a few rows this week, but more rows than last week. So up first is the pullover I talked about knitting last week. It is the, I can't remember if I actually said the name last week, but it's the Oxford Street pullover. It's a design of mine that will be coming out hopefully by the end of January next year, but if not January, then February. That's the plan anyway. Who knows? Watch this space. It'll end up coming out in March. But yeah, I popped in last week after I finished recording, I popped in a progress keeper. It's a cute little ghost. I don't know if you can see it. But yeah, you can see that. So it's a cute little ghost, and I popped that in last week, and this past week I have knit all the way up here. I wanted to split for the sleeves by the time that I recorded this episode, but it just didn't end up happening. I had other responsibilities to do, and then, you know, I got sidetracked by that jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, so didn't end up splitting for the sleeves. But I am now within, I think I counted the other day, and I'm within 20 rows of splitting for the sleeves. I don't remember. And I was showing the front off in my stories, and I was like, you know what, I think next time I record, I'm going to show the front off of the podcast. So, that's what the front looks like. It's these little eyelets. I love this so much. I have tried it on, you know, as much as you can on, when it's not split for the sleeves, as much as you can, but, so far it seems to be fitting okay, like over my shoulder area, and when I measured it, I was like, yeah, we're close to, like, where I'm splitting for the sleeves, so it's pretty much bang on track on that regard, but, still quite a few rows to go until I can split for the sleeves. I don't know if I mentioned last week, but I will say it in case it's not clear. This is a top-down raglan sweater, so, you know, I cast on with the collar, knit the ribbing, and then began the raglan increases for the sleeves, front and back, and now I'm almost at the sleeve separation. So, a couple more rows of raglan increases, and then this baby will be split for sleeves. Oh, if I didn't mention, that uses worsted weight yarn with US size 7 4.5 millimeter needles. I'm knitting that out of some stash yarn that I have. I'll show it to you. It is the, oh god, forgive this ball. It's been in my stash for quite a while. Oh, it's really bad. It is Lion Brand Pound of Love. And it's in the Oxford Grey colorway. I can't remember who got this for me, but I'm pretty sure that someone got it for me as a gift. And I'm somebody that, it's like, once it enters my stash, I want to use it up. you know? Especially if it's a gift. I always feel weird being like, oh, like, that's, you know, whatever yarn, I'll give it away. I'm somebody that's like, you thought of me like enough to get a skein yarn, so I might as well use it. I actually have 2 skeins of this. I believe that someone got me the first one and I maybe purchased the second one, knowing that I was going to knit a sweater out of it. Or maybe that person purchased 2 for me. I can't remember. Either way, it was in my stash, and I was like, let's use this up for a sweater. Why not? And the next project that I want to talk about is a hat. It's not much to show, it's just ribbing. But this is going to be another version of my bonfire beanie, which I don't know if I can insert a picture because I'm still figuring out Premiere, so I'm not sure if that's something in my tool belt yet, but if I can figure out how to enter in a picture, I will pop it right here. But that is just a colorwork beanie with some like diamond pattern and stuff. So I'm going to do that again in this gray and white. And again, this is just the ribbing. So I'm not even fully through the ribbing. I think I've got 10, I think I've got like 3 rows left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. Yeah, I've got like 3. Yeah, I've got roughly 3 rows left. But for this, I'm also using stash yarn, and this is another big box store yarn that I'm trying to work through. This is Yarn Bee Soft Secret in the, what color is it? Smoke colorway. And there's the yarn information, like the, I don't know, the sunlight's hitting that, so it's weird. But yeah, it is 100% acrylic. I honestly, I can't remember where I got this. I mean, I know it came from Hobby Lobby because Yarn Bee is a Hobby Lobby brand. But I can't remember when I got this or even why. I know I found it the other day in my stash and I was like, I want to knit another bonfire beanie. And I found it in my stash and I was like, when did I get this and what for? And so I pulled it out of my stash and I sat it on my desk for a while I was getting some work done. And it was sitting beside me and I was like, you know, if you can't figure out what this was intended for by like the end of the workday, cast on something else, because clearly it's been in your stash so long that the original plan is no longer going to happen. So that's what I did, and at the end of the workday I was like, I still have no idea what this was for. So I cast on for the bonfire beanie, and I am knitting away on the ribbing. Next whip that I want to talk about is a hat design that I am working on. I will go ahead and show you the hat portion. It is much like the bonfire beanie. This one is just in the ribbing. Look at that color though. Isn't it so pretty? I'm somebody, I love like grellos, you know, like a gray yellow or yellow with gray. So gray is one of my favorite colors. And grello is like the perfect combination for me. I pair gray with a lot of things, but grello, yeah. Something about grello, man. But yeah, I'm only a few rows into this, and it's going to be quite a long, deep rib, so still have quite a ways to go with that. But let me talk about the yarn. Before I talk about the yarn, I should say I'm using US size 4, 3.5 millimeter needles, Chiagu red lace. I think this is a 3.5. Is it US size 4 3.5 millimeter? I could be totally wrong. No, it's printed on the size. Yes, 3.5 millimeter. And I'm using, this is fingering weight yarn. So the yarn, I want to talk about that, is by the Red Pansy. It's by Kelly of the Red Pansy. She's an amazing, amazing dyer. This is on her Voyager Twist base. I always want to say Voyager Light, but I think it's Voyager Twist. And it is in the Gold Crest colorway. Excuse the way the ball is wound up. I'll talk about that in a second. But it's just this fantastic, fantastic grello color. I love it so much. Oh, there's a hair. I love it so much. So yeah, this cake is pretty badly wound up because when I first got this yarn, I had a plan for it. I had 2 skeins and I was like, I know what I'm going to do with this. It's going to be amazing. I swatched. I really liked the swatch. It was great, whatever. And then I cast on and I actually started knitting it. And if you've ever swatched for a sweater, you might experience this as well. But it looked different in the swatch. Like, I really liked the way the colors were lining up, and it was like almost micro striping. And I was like, this is perfect. It's gonna be great. And then I actually cast on the design, and because there were so many more stitches for the design than was included in that little bitty swatch, it it just didn't look right with the stitch pattern. It made it too, what's the word? Not crowded. I don't remember, but you know when yarn, like, you can really see the stitch pattern quite clearly? I guess the word I might be looking for is it muddied the stitch pattern, I guess. But it just didn't look right. It didn't look like what I was aiming for. So I ripped it out. I, badly rewound it onto this. And then I left it sitting in my stash for, let's see, I think I ripped it out earlier this year, so quite a few months. And then I was like, okay, reassess, what's this going to be used for? And I couldn't think of any two skein projects. So I decided to make a hat out of this. And this is going to be the Madison Square Beanie Light. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might remember around this time last year, I think it was in September, I released my Madison Square Beanie. Again, if I figure out how to do it, I will include a photo here. But it's a simple cabled hat pattern that is knit out of worsted weight yarn and uses US size 7 4.5 millimeter needles. And when I released that pattern, I had a few people ask me if I was planning on doing a light version, like a fingering weight version. And I always said, like, oh yeah, eventually, like, one day when the right yarn comes along. And, lo and behold, I didn't realize I had the right yarn sitting in my stash because that was, earmarked for something else. So when that design earlier this year didn't work out and I ripped it out, I was like, I don't know what I want this to be, so let's just let it breathe in the stash. And then after some time breathing in the stash, I realized that it was the perfect yarn for the Madison Square Beanie light version because it is, while it is variegated, it's what's the word? I'm trying to say color repeat, but I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. But like basically the way that it was dyed, it's ended up micro striping in this. So I think, and I'm not sure if it'll begin to pool later on. If so, I will start to, it's so weird to me to alternate skeins in a hat because it's like, it's such a small circumference, why would you want to do that? But if it does start to pool in any weird ways, then I will alternate skeins so that it doesn't do that. But if it continues to micro stripe, I think that'll be really, really good for this design because it's just cables and a little bit of ribbing. So that's the plan for this project. Sorry, I waffled on about that for quite a while, but I'm really, really excited because this is yarn that I really like, and the Madison Square Beanie pattern I have knit, the worsted weight version, I have knit so many times. I think I've knit 10 different hats out of the Madison Square Beanie pattern because it's just one of my favorite ones that I've ever designed. I'm somebody that likes simplicity, and when I want to gift a hat to somebody, I'm like, okay, let's do the Madison Square Beanie because it's just cabled and it's fun. Okay, and the last work in progress that I want to talk about is this Christmas blanket for my mom. This is what it's looking like so far. Forgive the ends, I do have to stop in the middle of the row and attach new balls of yarn, which I will talk about in just a second about why that works that way. But this is what it looks like. And so it looks really, really neat in this square, like in these squares and in the red squares, it often looks very, very neat. But in the white squares, you can often see the red poking through. And sometimes it's very, even though you can see the red, it's very neat. And then other times it's like that, where some stuff is sticking out. Like I said, this is for my mom. And when I started to see, like, some of those errors, it's just because you're holding the yarn double-stranded. I'll talk about that in just a second. It's because you're holding the yarn double-stranded throughout the blanket that if you don't keep the one strand taut, if you don't keep the one strand taut as you're crocheting over it, I should have mentioned this is a crochet blanket. If you don't keep the yarn taut as you're crocheting over it, then you will get that line there where you just forgot to pull it tight before you switch to the other color. That's something that when I first started down here, let me see, there was a big error down here. I don't know where it went. There's a big error early on, and I was really upset about it, and I showed my mom, and I was like, do you want me to rip out? Like, what's going on? Now I can't even find it. Wow, it really bothered me. Oh, I think this is it. So, I don't know how well you can see. Oh, this blanket's so big. Okay. I don't even know how well that you can see that error right there. To me, it's so glaringly obvious. But, when I did that error, I showed it to my mom, and I was like, do you want me to rip it out? Like, what's going on? Because this, like, I'm bound to do this again and again because I'll just, I won't pull it taut. And I'll forget. Like, it's what's gonna happen. And my mom was like, no, I like that. Like, it looks very, I think she used the word rustic. To me, I'm like, that means mistake. But, yeah, she really, really likes this, so I'm gonna continue it on for her. So, the yarn that I'm using for this is Loops and Threads Wool-like, and I will pull it out of the bag here. I'm currently in the multicolor and the white section, so these are what the cakes look like. They're not the greatest of wound up, but that's what the cakes look like. And I don't know if you can tell, well, you can tell with this one, but they are double stranded. So this one has one white strand and one red strand, and this one just has the two white strands. And that's because this yarn is a fingering weight, or it's a light fingering, I think. This is 85% acrylic and 15% nylon. I actually found, what was it that I found originally that I was going to use? I think it was Knit Pick Stroll. Yeah, I think I was going to use Knit Pick Stroll, but my mom is allergic to wool, so this was a good alternative. Sorry about that, I don't remember where I was talking about. I got a phone call and had to stop. But yeah, basically, really liking the way that this blanket is coming out. This is doubled up, by the way. It's folded in half, so it's wider than it is shown on camera right now. But yeah, this is the blanket, and I'm really, really excited to keep going on it. So you will see more and more updates about this blanket as and when it develops. Okay, and that wraps up my works in progress. So I'm just going to move straight on into general chatter, which I'm only going to talk for about a minute or so because I do have other things to get done today. The only thing I really wanted to talk about was Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. She was talking on her most recent podcast. It was last week, I think it was October 1st, and she was talking about how she was inputting her stash onto Ravelry, and that was something that I've done that before. I did half of my stash onto Ravelry years ago, and then for some reason I deleted it all. I don't remember why. And I was like, I'm going to do this all over again. And now that I see her talking about it, I'm like, should I do this? You know? To me, it's such a daunting task. But the way that she was talking about doing it she talked about how she had Ravelry open on her computer and then Ravelry open on her phone, so she could input the stash on her computer and then immediately take a picture with her phone to show what the yarn looked like. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. So that might be the way that I do it in the future, but I don't know. We'll see. Am I a Ravelry stash person? I don't know. Okay, and that wraps up this week's podcast. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked it, maybe hit the subscribe button below so you can be notified when I upload next week's podcast. If you are coming back from last week, you might remember me talk about how I was originally going to do this podcast every other week. Right now I'm in a position where I can do it every week, and for the foreseeable future, that's what I plan on doing, but this may switch to an every other week podcast depending on what goes on. But again, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you have any questions at all or you're just curious about anything, leave a comment below, and I will get back to you. If you're interested in looking up anything that I have talked about today, everything will be linked in the description box below this video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye!